Hello, everybody. We've got a show that promises to be at least mildly interesting for your listening and watching enjoyment. I'm your host, Jared Correia. I'm the CEO of Red Cave Law Firm Consulting. Let me tell you, this episode is going to rock, literally. For the monologue, I've got another perfect album for you. In the interview, we've got the biggest fan of The Rock, the actor and professional wrestler, Kurt London, the lawyer of London Harker Injury Law. And in the counter program, we tee Kurt up for The Rock trivia. Now, let's enter the arena of Arena Rock. Before we get to our newest perfect album, let's recap our current collection in chronological order. Paul McCartney's Ram, 1971. The Who, Who's Next, 1971. Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown, 1974. Billy Joel's Street Life Serenade, 1974. Billy Joel's An Innocent Man, 1983. Paul Simon's Graceland, 1986. Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever, 1988. Michael Penn's March, 1989. That was the last one we did. Uncle Tuplow's Anodyne from 1993. Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style from 1993. Sheryl Crow's The Globe Sessions, 1998. Coldplay's Viva La Vida or Death and All His Friends, 2008. And Taylor Swift's Folklore, bringing us to the 2020s. Where do you go from here? How about my own backyard? Let's talk about a band from the Boston area that was originally called Mother's Milk, but whose name was changed to Boston before the release of its debut album, also called Boston. Hell yeah, that's a lot of Boston, pa. How do you like them apples? I still think the Who's Next, also a perfect album for me. It's probably the greatest rock album ever. But danged if Boston's debut album isn't number 2 with a bullet. Though there's a great variety of songs on Who's Next, Boston, the album, just fucking rips. Appropriately, like the latest Ben Affleck and Matt Damon Netflix movie. This album is less than 40 minutes long and only has 8 songs of just 2 types. One's with searing electric guitars and organs, and one with searing electric guitars and organs with prominent acoustic guitars also. The sound is fucking crisp on this album. It's like the record was designed in a lab, which I guess it kind of was. Now, the vibes surrounding the band Boston at this time are immaculate. This is the most mid-70s looking group ever. Take a look at some images on Google. Butterfly collars. They're popping. Drummer Sib Haitian has the greatest white man's afro in recorded history. Brad Delp's perm has its own atmosphere. Tom Scholz is out there looking like Rick Ocasek's creepier brother. Actually, no one looks that bad. I take it back. I own a copy of an original pressing of the Boston album, in part because it has some of the best cover art that has ever been done. There's really no album artwork like it. There are UFOs in space, UAPs, that look like overturned guitars with blue flames that are either powering the ships or being used as tractor beams, I can't tell, shooting out from the sound holes. It's just an iconic album cover. So much so that Boston, the group, used the imagery repeatedly on later records. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But it's also kind of appropriate because listening to this album with your headphones on or driving in your car with the windows rolled down on a summer day in the mid-1970s must have felt like an alien experience. The music on this album is of a different nature and production quality than anything else you'll hear from this era. And while it is about the music, and I'll get there, trust me, I need to talk to you about how Boston, the album, was made first. There are a whole host of reasons why Boston's debut album is not only a perfect album, but maybe the greatest first album ever made. It's still the second best-selling debut ever, after Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, also a pretty good album. Tom Scholz, the multi-instrumentalist and band leader, was pretty much Boston, in kind of the same way that Adam Young is Owl City. Well, almost. Scholz did everything but sing, which was left up to Brad Delp, the band's lead singer, who carries significant vocal range. The rest of the band was something of a revolving door until they locked in after the first album hit. Scholz had essentially been working at Boston's debut album since the late 1960s, when he was a student at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT for the homies, writing music. In fact, the bones of the Boston album were largely finished, including whole songs, by 1973, essentially 3 years before the album's proper release, when Scholz created a demo tape to circulate to record executives. In fact, when CBS, under the Epic Records banner, eventually bid on signing Boston, there was concern that Scholz was just some dude in his basement producing music, and that maybe there was no band at all. Of course, that was kind of the situation. Despite attempts by CBS executives to get the band into a studio on the West Coast with the company's hand-picked producers, that never fully materialized. Record executive John Boylan ran interference for Scholz, such that Scholz was basically able to actually record the entire album in his Watertown, Massachusetts basement, playing pretty much all the instruments and double-tracking Delp's vocals, which were recorded elsewhere. That level of precision without the interference from label engineers and producers is likely the main reason why the Boston sound was so different. Even so, despite the fact that Tom Scholz produced like Brian Wilson, Boston became a very successful live band, selling out major arenas as a headliner. But the original Boston album was like a comet with a long tail. Scholz was such a perfectionist that he felt rushed in producing Boston's next album, Don't Look Back, which was released in 1978. Nonetheless, it was pretty well received also. Also, Scholz and Delp were not into touring, which would lead to additional revenue and which record executives would feel was necessary to support new records. So, Scholz actually placed the band on hiatus in 1980, only 4 years after their smash hit debut. And after that, both album releases and tours became very sporadic. Despite that fact, to the extent that FM radio still exists, pretty much every song on the Boston album is in regular rotation, and the record has sold almost 20 million copies to date. The group also still has some 12 million monthly listeners for Spotify. Not bad for a band and a record that is even older than me. So it's probably about time to talk about the music. Every track on this album is a fucking triumph. Every song just goes so hard. You don't even have any time to catch your breath. It definitely sounds like some dude in Watertown was slaving over these cuts for like a decade before releasing them to the general public. This is some Pressure Makes Diamond kind of shit. This is the progressive rock album that still rocks. It's kind of like in the spirit of the Alan Parsons Project, but without all the water gongs. Just guitars, drums, and organs. Tom Scholz was out to make the perfect pop rock album, and the numbers, as well as the judgment of history, pretty much says that he succeeded. Let's go through the tracks in detail, as a perfectionist like Scholz would want us to do, I think. This is an album full of great songs, but Foreplay / Long Time is far and away the best track in my opinion. This is a two-part song with a lengthy intro that is almost 8 minutes long, my kind of track. It's the reason why there were only 3 songs on side 1 of the original LP, with the other 5 getting pushed to side 2. When it was released as a single for the radio, one of only 3 original singles off this album, though you've heard every song from this album on the radio, I would conjecture, it was cut down to about 3 minutes and the intro was lopped off. But that doesn't do this track justice. It has everything you want out of a mid-1970s rock song. The intro is called Foreplay, which is just a tremendous pun. You see, there's the music part, then there's the part about the fucking, or the part before the fucking, technically. Just great stuff. The intro sounds a lot like Yes, with sweeping organs and some drum support. It's pretty similar to Roundabout, which would make sense because that song came out in 1972, when Scholz was already actively working on this album and producing the demo tracks. It's just got a harder edge and sounds more like a rock song, even in the intro portion, which takes up the first 2 minutes and 25 seconds or thereabouts. After that, you get into the main track, Long Time, which is perhaps another sexual pun. It's been a long time. I don't know. And it is very much on at that point. They retain some elements of the organ, which are now in the background, but this portion of the track kicks off with a wailing guitar solo, and then Delp's vocals come back in as the drums enter the picture. Just amazing, amazing shit. Then, for the hell of it, we're also adding some acoustic guitars and the iconic hand clapping. Just a buffet of musical elements generating a rock symphony. This is kind of an elevated road song where the singer is sort of like, it's time for me to move on. But what separates it is that the instrumentation is just crazy. In the liner notes for this track, it actually says that Scholz plays the guitar and offers top secret space pedal effects. I did not make that up. Again, this is like music from a spacecraft being gifted to the human race, or maybe the opposite. Perhaps this is something we can give to the aliens. Maybe the guitar solo at 5:30 is what the space effects part is referring to. It gets so fucking loud you can hardly hear it. It's like that scene in Back to the Future where Huey Lewis tells Marty McFly his band is just too darn loud. A few months back, my son and I were driving back from a basketball tournament, and he played the same album 8 times in a row in the car. And I was like, little bro, if we don't listen to something else, I'm going to smash my head into the steering wheel. So, taking a break from some drill rap, which I don't dislike, I put the full-length version of this song on. He was like, what's Foreplay? And I was like, never mind about that right now. He was incredulous during that intro, which I figured he wouldn't like. But when the guitars kicked in, he really started listening and actually continued to listen without complaint or comment for the rest of the track, which is a rare thing. And when I had finished, I said, well, his response was that it was pretty fucking good. Now that's staying power for a song that came out almost 40 years before he was born. Then we immediately returned to his album, though it was a nice respite in between for an old man. Let Me Take You Home Tonight is the song that ends the album, and although it rocks pretty hard, it's the closest thing to a true ballad on this album, in my opinion, though other tracks are certainly in that range. Like, that's what the first half is. This song is a little different than the rest of the songs on this album, in part, I think, because it was the only track that was not written by Scholz. This is a Brad Delp composition. This one is spiritually aligned with Foreplay, as it's about the character trying to take a lady home for the evening, presumably not a lady of the evening. This is effectively the late-night version of Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band, which was a song that also came out this year in 1976. There were a lot of songs about fucking in 1976. Starland Vocal Band, a one-hit wonder, beat Boston out for Best New Artist at the Grammys in 1977, as it turned out. Fun fact for you. This song clocks in at about 4 minutes and 46 seconds, and up through most of the first 3.5 minutes, it sounds like it wants to ramp up in intensity, with electric guitars peaking here and there throughout. But things really start to kick off at the 3.5 minute mark, where this converts to a straight rock song. The drums really pick up, and the guitars start to kick in. This is very similar to the stuff Chicago was doing in the 70s too, where the speed and intensity start to go crazy at the tail end of a track. Let Me Take You Home Tonight is a lot like Feeling Stronger Every Day, which is maybe the best Chicago song. But Let Me Take You Home Tonight is the best song, second best song, in fact, just on this album. What a record. Rock and Roll Band wasn't even a single from the album. And I kind of got off of it for a little while there because I felt it was overplayed on the radio. And that's just a testament to the quality of this album, that a non-single track would end up being overplayed on the radio. That's crazy. This song is fucking all business, and it may be the most famous track on the album. It's kind of got this hippie thesis of the crowd waiting on the band to come out on stage to deliver love and music, but then bashes you over the head with some savage guitar work. I love how they pipe the crowd noise into this track, and the introductory guitar part is amazingly grimy. Delp gets to explore his vocal range quite a bit in this song as well. People around here love this song, in part because it makes specific New England references. Dancing in the streets of Hyannis, that's in Cape Cod. Playing for a week in Rhode Island. If Boston makes anthemic rock songs, this is its best anthem. This song is about playing music, man, and how awesome it is when people actually listen to and appreciate your shit. Then, of course, the titular rock band actually gets signed by a record label. And you know how that goes. If you want to know more about how that goes, listen to Success Story, which is a Who song about the aftermath. This is just a tight, workman-like rock song. Smokin' is another great song about rock bands playing rock and roll music that gets right into it and just barrels down the tracks like a freight train. This is probably my favorite type of song of all the types of songs. Now, I mentioned that the songs on the Boston album are not really as diverse as some of the things that you see The Who doing, but I have to give credit to the lengthy organ solo in this song, which is very similar to what Traffic might have done. That's sort of back to the prog rock, hard rock thing they do regularly on this album. Those two things are just bouncing off of each other. This song probably features the best interplay in that vein. But then we're back to the guitars and the drums in the outro. This is like a progressive rock sandwich where there's progressive rock in the middle and then it's a standard rock song at the front and in the back. But when it's really cooking, there's a little Lynyrd Skynyrd in here too. Even the theme of this track gives you a little bit of a southern rock feel. Now those 4 songs are my top 4 songs on the album because they're the hardest rocking. Sorry, I just like dudes shredding on guitars. But while the remainder of the songs from the record are in something of a lower key, they're still excellent. After all, this is a perfect album. More Than a Feeling is the lead track on the album and the first single. The only single that came out in 1976, which is the year the album was released. This was meant to be the centerpiece of the record and was the introduction for most people at that time to the band. It's super duper catchy as a song about a man who is reminiscing over his old favorite song and the girl he lost. Yes, as you might have anticipated, both elicit more than feelings. This one's a nostalgia fest, people. And the lyric, I see my Marianne walking away, is pretty much imprinted on music fans' brains. Although the songs are pretty different, Scholz's inspiration for this song was the Left Bank's Walk Away Renee, which is itself an amazing tune, and from which he borrows some chord progressions, in fact. And it's true that some of the Boston stuff does sound like an updated version of the British invasion rock bands, like the Kinks. Although this is an electric guitar-heavy track, especially in parts, Scholz, the master of hand claps and rock songs, deploys those again to great effect. The outro on this song is practically a festival, which is something Boston achieved regularly on this album. In its latest collection of the 500 greatest songs of all time, Rolling Stone magazine bumped More Than the Feeling from number 500 to number 212. Hitch a Ride comes in next on my listing of album tracks. This is a hitchhiking song, which is something no one does anymore because it can be a very good way to get fucking murdered. There's a lot of James Gang influence on this album. That was Joe Walsh's band before the Eagles, as that was one of Scholz's favorite bands at the time. And this song is sort of reminiscent of certain of the traveling songs on the James Gang albums, like Dreamin' in the Country. At about the 1:30 mark here, there's some unique interplay between the organs and the drums, which is excellent. There's all kinds of little moments like that on this record. Then, the singing ends abruptly at about the 2:30 mark. After that, hand claps, they're back, and we're into another suite with dueling guitars soloing that plays out this track. This is the section that really elevates this song. The guitar parts at the end are just brilliant. Perhaps appropriately, this song is about riding in the car. And this is another album track that you can and should listen to at a significant volume with your windows rolled down and the sunroof or moonroof open. If your neighbors are cool, they won't even care. Peace of Mind was the third and last single off the record and is another song that is frequently played on classic rock radio, which now also includes Nirvana, Inexplicably. This is a song about how much working for the man sucks and is about Scholz's experience being employed by Polaroid in Massachusetts. Remember Polaroid cameras or the film? Delp also worked in a factory in Danvers, which is a town that borders my own, where he was making heating coils. The band thing was a much better gig, as it turns out. Now, I'm not as into the intro part of this song as I am in the bag for other songs on this album, but right about in the middle of this song, it really starts to move, and the guitars get real heavy. There are some very catchy hooks here. Interestingly, Delp described this song as an example of how Scholz was able to combine Beach Boys harmonies and Led Zeppelin guitar riffs. No big deal. Although many critics viewed the lyrics as sort of trite, Scholz has the ability to create earworms that are forever memorable. Like the segment that goes, "People living in competition. All I want is to have my peace of mind. Don't we all?" And as with almost every Boston song on this album, there is an absolutely sick guitar solo in the middle. It's kind of staggering to me that this is my 7th favorite song on this album, which only has 8 tracks. And I could probably listen to this tune 10 times in a row without getting tired of it. Something About You is my least favorite song on the album. It doesn't push the record out of perfect album status, of course, but I do feel like it's not as good as the others. Kind of a significant downgrade from the rest. It kind of sounds like the theme song for a television show about the 1970s. Though a Big Stars track that got used for that 70s show was pretty good too. But even so, after a little bit of a weird intro that sounds like someone singing underwater, kind of like something Duran Duran would do, so maybe it's ahead of its time, I don't know. It's got one of those classic Boston guitar riffs that make you go, all right, now. Then the chorus is catchy, and it's like, oh, I don't want to like this song, but I do. This song may also represent the best use of bass guitar on the album. And even though this is the worst song on the album, in my opinion, it was also played on classic rock radio ad nauseum. While Boston is mostly about soaring guitars, this song is also maybe Delp's best vocal performance on the album. Now, one of the things about covering albums that came out in the mid-1970s, this year represents the 50th anniversary of this record, by the way. It said all the original band members of Boston had passed away, save for Tom Scholz, the driving force behind the band. Sadly, Brad Delp committed suicide in 2007 after suffering from depression for many years. Of course, Boston's music will live on, especially its spectacular debut album, probably the best first album in history. I watched the movie Project Hail Mary this weekend, which was actually quite good. And there's a scene where Ryan Gosling's character looks over at some golden plaques on the wall of his spaceship, which are meant to evoke the Voyager Golden Record, created by a committee chaired by Carl Sagan for a NASA probe, which was a record made of actual gold, so it was durable, that was meant to be played by aliens if they discovered it, to give them a sense of what life is like on Earth. Sadly, Carl and his team committed the broad and crazy oversight of not including a Boston track on that record when the album had just come out. But imagine being an alien listening to this record in the vast expanse and utter quiet of space when those guitars kick in for a long time. That'll blow your hair back, if they have hair. Now let's talk with Kurt London of London Harker Injury Law about the alien world of personal injury law, where the money comes in after the results, and where the competition is otherworldly. Buckle up, bitches. Well, I've effectively run out of things to say, which is awkward because this is a podcast, so I'm simply going to pick my nose and hope no one notices. I won't do that. That's gross. I would never do that, not even in private. Don't worry. We do have a guest. It's Kurt London, the managing partner at London Harker Injury Law. Kurt, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
No one asked me that. I'm doing great. Thank you. I think you're the first. I was unprepared.
There's like a silent tear coming down. No one's ever asked me.
Tears of a clown, Kurt.
Yes.
Can you just confirm for the audience that this is the first time we've ever met or spoken in life?
This is the first time we have ever spoken.
I was like, I'm going to feel like a real asshole if that's not true. But you were at like Filevine Lex Summit last year, and so was I, but we missed each other.
Yeah, and my office is really close to where that was located, so we had a chance, but like ships in the night.
Not anymore, and I'll see you probably next year. Okay. Can I? So I was talking to someone I know who went to Filevine last year, and he talked with you. I think he was hanging out at your house for a little bit. And when I texted him and said I was going to have you on the show, this is what he texted me back. He has probably the biggest calf I have ever seen on a man. He definitely does not skip leg day. Can you confirm or deny? This is an actual text.
If only I got this many compliments about my legs from females. It's literally only males.
It's like, look at that guy's calves.
Yeah. Like I was in the airport a couple months ago going to a legal conference, and someone came up to me, a man, and literally wanted to talk to me about my calves. I'm like, sorry, you what? He's like, your calves. I'm like, oh, okay.
They're sick.
Yeah. But here's the dirty secret. I actually almost never do leg day. I was just bored with those calves. Yeah.
Just naturally baller calves. I'm impressed. I was going to ask you what your secret was, but apparently you're born with it.
Well, I've heard that short guys get nice calves because we're always like reaching for stuff on the top shelves. I mean, I'm not that short. I'm like 5'9", but still.
That's not that short. That's not even short. No. I mean, look at this. We got the total package here. Tall guy with great calves.
Yeah.
Come on, ladies. Come on.
Guy, yeah, right. Every 5 years or so, I feel bad about skipping leg day. So then I'll do leg day, and then I never do it again. So
all right. Here's the trick. Do leg day every 5 years. Got it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Filevine, like Summit. Like, you're a personal injury attorney. We'll get more into that in a second. But, like, there are so many personal injury conferences now. It's staggering.
Oh.
Like,
and it's
do you
like
go to them? How do you decide
more.
which ones to pick?
So I literally have a list on my phone that I've made because I've done so much research. Because some of them are just like a money grab. Like, they just want to get money, and it's pretty clear. And they'll use, like, the personal injury attorneys as the bait to get a bunch of vendors to come. Because the vendors will pay real good money to be around injury attorneys.
Right.
But I try to go to like a half dozen a year, and I try to rotate. And if it's a bad one, I'll never go back. But there's probably 15, 20 on my list. There's a lot.
Which ones do you like the best? Like, we don't have to talk about the shitty ones, but what ones, if somebody's like, oh, we could.
Yeah.
What are your favorites if people are like, I want to get my roster filled out?
The National Trial Lawyers ones are pretty good, but those also kind of rotate. So one year they'll be really good. The next year they'll be mediocre. I went to the TBI Med Legal one a few years ago, and it was fantastic. I went last year, and it was subpar, so I didn't go this year, but I heard this year was fantastic. Great Legal Marketing, which is Brian Glass and Ben Glass's. That one's pretty good. Yep. It's smaller, so you probably have like 200 attorneys there. PIMCon.
An intimate gathering of PI attorneys.
Yeah. PIMCon's nice. That one's in Scottsdale because it's put on by a vendor, and they don't let other vendors
that's Chris
in,
Dreyer,
really.
Right?
Yep, exactly. So there's no pitches and stuff. It's just there to learn. They do have vendors in the hallway, but
that's cool.
Those are the ones that I go to multiple years in a row. PIMCom and GLM. There are other ones I kind of rotate.
What makes a good conference for you? Is it like the speakers, the subject matter, the swag, the food?
I'll do anything for a mean pen.
I have so many branded thermoses. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the new thing, right? For me, it's the networking, and then I still want to learn, so I don't want to go in there for a pitch slap. Like, when I go to learn about AI, it's not to hear about your product, right? It's to learn how it works, not, oh my gosh, we can increase your settlements by so much. I don't really care. I want to learn about it.
Pitch slap. I like that. That's really good. I want to get, so I know you have a really interesting story about why you started the practice. Let's hold off on that for a second, because you seem to, so I'm judging here, but you seem like a dude who like decided to be a lawyer early on. Tell me if I'm wrong about that.
Oh yeah. Super early.
Okay. Like kindergarten?
Yes, actually 5. So yeah, kindergarten.
Really? So you were like, can I walk you back in history? You watched like A Few Good Men, and you were like, Daniel Caffey, that's my guy.
Yeah, it was the game changer right there. No, my journey was a little different. I mean, my dad was a judge, so I was like inundated with the law from day one.
How was that, having a dad as a judge? Is it weird? Is it cool?
It probably sounds a lot cooler than it is. It's having undercover cops come to your house at 2 a.m. for warrants to be signed. It's the cops know you and your dad personally, so when you're out doing shenanigans when you're 16 and the cops see you, they might not pull you over, but they'll call your dad and say, hey, I saw your son doing X, Y, and Z. So I'll walk in, Officer so-and-so saw you driving illegally on this street. I'm like, oh, gosh, Judas.
So it could be good or bad is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like that was not a negative experience for you because you were like, yeah, I want to do this early. I'm going to do it. And here you are. You own your own law firm. Yeah. Congratulations. Okay.
Well, thanks.
So I know you I just saw something on LinkedIn that you posted in terms of like why you started the personal injury law firm, but just for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, do you want to run through the story?
Yeah, sure. So I was always kind of interested in personal injury because you are defending or sticking up for the victim against this gigantic corporation or the system. But while I was in prepping for law school, so the year before law school, I took off to work as a paralegal. I got in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. So Utah doesn't have a bike law or motorcycle helmet law. So I was riding with no helmet, and I was wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt. And I had a really big bike. It was a Honda VTX 1800, which is like an 800-pound bike. And
I know nothing about motorcycles, that is large.
It's a chunky bike. Yeah, very chunky. Okay. It was like one of those things where I wanted to get the biggest motorcycle I could find kind of thing. And I was going to the gym, which is like 3 blocks from my house. And on the way home, yes, not leg day, arm day, actually. But I was coming home, and as I was coming home, there was a girl that was late for her shift at the Pizza Pie Cafe, shot out from an underground parking garage without looking, and she turned left right in front of me. She saw me as she was executing her turn, which is great, but the bad thing is she stopped in the middle of the road, so she was blocking both lanes. Oh, and I had a split second decision. I can either T-bone her, probably flip over the bike, break my neck, or I can slam on my brakes, lay down my bike, and probably lose my leg. So laid down my bike. We slid for about 20 feet or so. I lost consciousness.
Jeez.
I woke up, and I was looking up, and she was looking out her driver window down at me, just looking at me. The first words out of my mouth is, "You totaled my bike." Like, I was so pissed.
I feel like that's how you know you're a real biker. You're like, how's the bike?
I was so mad because I know every biker knows, like, when you lay down your bike's likely totaled. So that was my first thought, was like, you just totaled it. But I was an idiot. I didn't have insurance. Luckily, she did. I didn't hire an attorney because the insurance adjuster told me the attorney was going to steal all the money.
The insurance adjuster always got your back.
Always. When I was the idiot too, like, I was calling the adjuster, like, "I'm injured, send me to a doctor," like, thinking they'd actually help me. Found a chiropractor on Google. Yeah. Chiropractor took advantage of me, billed up $15,000 of treatment. I settled my case. He got paid in full, and I got $1,000. Come to find out, my back was busted, so I needed back surgery.
Wow.
So that was fun.
How old were you when this happened?
It was after undergrad, so I was probably 20, I think 25 or so.
Wow. 25. I mean, like, what experience of life does anybody have at that? So you were like, I did everything wrong that I could do wrong, so now I'm going to help everybody else, is the idea.
Yeah, literally, if you made a checklist of what you're supposed to do, I literally did not do any of those things. It was like, from day one, didn't do a thing right.
But I mean, I'm sure that goes over really well with your clients who are like, you've got a personal story that you can tell them.
Yeah. Well, during our consultation, I'm like, don't be me. Here's what I did wrong. You're going to do everything right now. Do not do what I did.
I went through it for you. Now, do you still ride, or?
No, I have my gear still, some of my gear. I've wanted to get a bike again, but every time I do, I like sign up a client who, happened to lose a leg in a motorcycle accident or passed away,
Yeah. Now you're in the minivan, right? Are you in the minivan stage of life yet? Is that right? A little bit safer.
Not a minivan.
A little bulkier.
I refuse to ride a minivan, but we got a big Tahoe. That's what we have for the family cars, a big Tahoe.
I'm the same way. I'm like, no minivan. I can't go there, but I'll buy a big ass SUV. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
minivans are so practical, but they just don't look cool.
Oh, man, they look awful. I'd rather have a station wagon. So the other thing that's interesting is, I believe you grew up in and around Salt Lake City, right? And you've been kicking around in Salt Lake City for your entire life, right?
Well, no, I actually grew up in California, so I'm a transplant.
You grew up in California. Okay, so you went to BYU undergrad, right? and BYU Law School. So basically, where in California did you grow up?
Orange County, Southern California.
Oh, yeah. So you moved from the OC to Salt Lake City. A little bit different, right?
The other OC, yeah.
But then you're like, I'm going to stay here. This is cool.
Yeah.
So is this one of these situations where you met somebody and settled down, or was it just like, I love Salt Lake City. It's my jam. Or both?
Once you move to Utah, you never leave Utah. So the cost of living's pretty reasonable. Wages are fairly high. I mean, the views are spectacular.
Yes, I can attest to that.
It also didn't hurt that I married a girl from Utah, and girls from Utah never want to leave Utah. So once that happens, you're stuck no matter what.
It's hard to find that second drink in Utah. I found the first one they're okay with, but the second shot, not so
Our
much.
liquor laws. Yeah, our liquor laws. It's like you have to plan ahead because our state liquor stores too are government run, so that's always fun to close on holidays.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, you got to plan ahead. If you drink, you have to be a planner.
Which is, and if you drink, you can only plan for so long.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What's the legal scene like out there in Salt Lake City? You find the attorneys to be innovative, interesting? What kind of practice areas are popping? Like, what's it like?
Oh, we have a really weird mix because we are like a good old boy state still, where everything's kind of the 1950s culturally. But then we also have like Silicon Slopes, which is all AI companies like Filevine.
Right. Oh, you got like big companies out there with huge sales divisions like Podium, and the sales
huge
culture
ones.
out there is crazy. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's kind of a weird mix. And the attorneys are also a weird mix as well. So personal injury in and of itself, I don't know a lot of attorneys who have implemented AI or made the switch yet.
Really?
Probably because a lot of the companies are here and they just pitch us all the time.
Yeah. Like, okay, enough. You know what? I'm not going to use that just to spite you.
Yes, exactly. But we do have massive law firms that have come into town since COVID that are really tech driven. So it's a really weird mix right now.
I feel like the city's really grown, like of recent vintage, and especially since COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so one thing about Utah that I find interesting is you've got this ABS kind of regulatory sandbox with the Supreme Court, and that is being sunset next year. Do you have thoughts on that? What happened there? We're doing the ABS thing. We're not doing the ABS thing.
Gosh, do we have thoughts?
I'll clear out. You just explode the studio space.
Too many. Yeah. How much time do we have here? The Supreme Court kind of railroaded that through, the Utah Supreme Court, and the personal injury attorneys tried to have meetings with them to discuss our concerns because their issue was access to justice.
Yeah.
Which is fair, but that only impacts usually like bankruptcy, family law, landlord tenant, not personal injury. And when you add that much money and reduce those rules to personal injury, it's like gasoline on the fire. And we tried to warn them what would happen.
Yep.
All the corruption that we warned them about is what exactly happened. So after like 2 years, the Supreme Court clamped down really hard on the sandbox. And now it's basically shut. So there's only probably 15, 20 law firms in the actual sandbox right now.
So once it sunsets, what happens to those law firms? Do you know? Are they like out of business?
That's always been the question. I don't know. I have no idea. The issue has always been regulation, right?
Yeah.
So you add these rules that allow non-attorneys to practice law, but they can't be regulated because the bar has no authority over them. The Supreme Court has no regulatory mechanism. So it's like
that's so interesting.
They can keep practicing because no one has been regulating them in the first place.
So what happened basically was unscrupulous law firms come in. They're like, it's on now. We can do literally whatever we want. And then I never thought of Salt Lake City as wild times like that. But here we are. And now it's shut down.
They try to be edgy with the tech stuff. So it's like that was one of their projects. And it didn't help that some of the players pushing this also had financial interests waiting for them after it passed.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Private equity is known to be on the up and up, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's move back to your firm for a second. I think you've been. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff. I think you've been around for a few years at this point.
Yeah, we're hitting our third year here in September.
So you had worked for other firms previously, and then you decided to open your own law firm with a partner. What goes into a decision like that? That's a big step.
For me, it was actually pretty easy. I felt like I'd hit a glass ceiling. I was the highest earner or producer in my law firm. My philosophy on running a case is very different, where I felt like we need to litigate if we need to litigate. A lot of firms don't want to litigate. They just want to settle and take their pennies today.
Yeah, right.
That was not my philosophy. So it was really an easy decision. It was just finding the partner and the financial situation to make that happen, because with personal injury, you need a runway, right? You sign up a case today, you're not going to get paid for 6 months. On the small case, a year, 2 years. Utah's got a 4-year statute. Some cases it's, 5, 6 years.
And if you're going to trial and you're a trial firm, then it's even longer. Yeah.
Exactly. And I knew that leaving my old firm, I wouldn't be able to take any cases with me, even my own personal referrals. So I was going to be starting out with zero. So it was a situation where I needed to find a partner that we had the right philosophy and the right financial situation to be able to, start off with a big runway.
So how'd you pick the partner then? Because that's a big question. Like, it is not easy to launch a business with another human who has a say in what you're doing. Seriously. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it all sounds good in the abstract, but then when you get into it, you're like, what is this asshole's problem? So how did you make that decision? Like, how do you vet somebody?
Yeah. So I had the pleasure, I guess, of vetting and being vetted by my partner for over a decade. So I've known Bronson, my partner, since law school. And we have been in communication and talking with each other since that time. And it was like a year or two before we opened our law firm, our questions and discussions were getting deeper on, how to run a law firm, philosophies on different situations. So really we had vetted it just right. And the nice thing is Bronson loves the back end business stuff, balancing our IOLTA account, doing payroll. I hate that stuff. I just want to sue the insurance companies. And he hates that stuff. So I literally run the law firm. I do all the legal stuff. I make sure we're litigating and suing people, and he makes sure we're getting our business license renewed every year and the payroll's being paid. So he hates what I do. I hate what he does. So it's a perfect symbiotic relationship.
Let me ask you this may be more of a Bronson question. We'll see. But like, you've grown the business fairly successfully in the few years it's been open. I mean, you got a decent number of attorneys working for you and staff. So like, I found that one of the issues with law firms I talk to is the talent acquisition piece of it. Like finding good lawyers, good paralegals is really hard. Did you find that to be the case as well? And then how do you overcome that?
So we haven't really run into that because of my networking. I network a ton, and we always kind of have a pool of attorneys or paralegals that we are keeping a warm relationship for when we have the right time to onboard them.
It's a smart way to do it.
So when we're ready to hire, we basically already have people we already know, like, and trust. We also have an interesting interviewing process where we do 3 interviews. My first interview is with myself and my head paralegal. The next interview is just with the team members. So it's the paralegals, you're in a room of 10 other people. And then the last one is with my partner, Bronson. And what we're looking for is a personality match, because most things can be taught and learned. But really, work sucks as it is. Working in a law firm, I don't care how awesome your law firm is, it still sucks. You have to be paid to be here, right?
No one wants to work.
For a reason. Exactly. But I don't want the workplace to suck. So if you hate your coworkers and there's drama, it's just way worse. So we try to be really specific on who we hire and bring on for that purpose.
Let's bring it back to like the starting of the law firm. Because I think people are probably listening to this, watching this. They're like, how can I be more like Kerr? Luscious calves, tall, handsome, law firm owner.
Lots of protein.
and so I think some people I talk to are like, I want to do a PI firm. And even if you've worked for somebody before, it's a big difference when the rubber meets the road and now you got to manage your own finances. How do you map out the runway? Like, do you tell people like, hey, look into a line of credit? Maybe you throw some credit cards on here. Like, do you have a spouse that could help you as you get ramped up? Because like the cash flow fluctuates a lot, and then you got to really map it out in terms of projections years out, which is not going to happen if you're starting like an estate planning firm. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually a lot. So that is something that most attorneys don't even think about when they open a personal injury firm. But you need to have at least like 6 to 12 months of funds stashed away. If you're going to keep it lean and just operate on your own, you need to have at least 6 to 12 months to pay your bills.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to start feeling pressure to do unethical things to get money coming in, and you don't want to be in that situation.
Cases. Yeah.
Yep. Settling cases too early. Also, having a line of credit is good, but I would caution against that because it is a slippery slope. Once you start drawing on it, if you don't have money coming in, it's hard to kind of reverse it. So just staying lean, staying mean for the first year or two. And then once you start having the payroll coming in, then you can start expanding and working on that. But 6 to 12 months of income at least stashed away somewhere.
So when you guys started the firm, you mapping that on like a spreadsheet? Is that how you're running things? Like, let's figure this out. What do we got for money?
That's what I have Bronson for, so he can worry about that.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Another shout out to Bronson.
So our situation's a little different.
Yeah.
Bronson's got his own law firm in California. This is his second law firm. His other law firm's been open for 10 years.
Good play by you. Well done, sir.
So I wasn't too worried because our deal was I run the law firm, I build it, I grow it, and he funds payroll basically until we're up and running.
Oh, man. I've always wanted a benefactor. Like in Great Expectations when Magwitch comes like out of the brush. He's like, hey, here's a ton of money. I'm still waiting. Let's do the AI stuff. Because if I don't talk about AI, Sam Altman's going to have my legs broke. So what are your thoughts in general? So you said adoption is not heavy out where you are. Why do you think that is? Like, what do lawyers need to be able to jump in on this? And should they?
What I need is to stop seeing all the news articles about attorneys getting fired and being sanctioned and losing their license. That's probably what I need to see.
Yeah, that is a thing for sure.
That's a low bar. I think it's just the hesitancy with. I feel like we're in a .com bubble right now. Everyone's rushing before they verify. We use a little bit of AI. We use a lot of like call summaries and transcriptions to save us time on making case notes. I have tried to vet some demand companies. So in personal injury, you can upload all of your case basically, right? So you can like police reports, photos, medical records, and it'll make a demand for you. And the work product was awful. Like,
oh, interesting. You haven't found one you like yet.
No. So I used cases that I'd already finished, right? We litigated them, settled them, so I knew them backwards and forwards. And they were flagging stuff as pre-existing injuries and these huge red flags that didn't exist. It was all made up. And that was less than a year ago. So since then, we haven't tried again yet.
So you're dipping your toe in, which I don't think is a bad way to do it. And obviously, like, if you're outsourcing, build me my demand letter. Like, that's such a huge portion of what a personal injury attorney does. I'd be careful about that too. Yeah.
And it's scary. Like, I'm the one who has to litigate, negotiate these cases. I should know it anyways. So why would I want to outsource that? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I got one more question for you. Out in Utah right now, trying to build a big data center. There's been a lot of hubbub about that.
Oh, gosh.
How do you feel about the environmental impacts of this? Because, like, look, I would like a new chocolate chip cookie recipe just as much as the next guy, but I would like the water table to be where it is currently.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, we're all getting checks from China to actually protest Kevin O'Leary's data center. So that really offsets any environmental impact that we're worried about here. Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, what people don't realize is that Utah is in a catastrophic drought. Our snowpack comes from the Salt Lake. So the water from the Salt Lake evaporates into the clouds, it goes and snows on the mountains, and that's literally our drinking water. We drink water from those rivers.
Yep.
We have no Salt Lake. It's going to be 100% dried up in about 2 to 3 years. So if you fly into Salt Lake, you will see it's mostly dried up. We just had our first arsenic dust storm a few weeks ago. The soil that's in the lake bed has arsenic in it. And now that it's exposed, it's just blowing right over the population. And they have no idea how it's going to impact our health. So the fact that they now want to add the world's largest data center on top of that is like a huge. I think everyone's fed up with it now. Like, we're at the stage where they're talking about rationing drinking water and not being able to make it until next winter, let alone adding a data center.
It's crazy. You got assholes out there like Jeff Bezos being
just,
like, well, you know, it's the AI or it's drinking water. Like, I'll pick the AI.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Come on.
Seriously.
Come on, man.
And we've already been arguing over our water because most of our water is used for agriculture, not even human consumption. So it's like, just add a data center on top of that.
Right. And it's not just Utah, like Western states in general are having trouble.
I know.
Managing this water issue. But boy, that was uplifting. Let's just end here and do the last segment. All right.
I don't want to be a downer, but if you have water, feel free to ship it to us. We'll take bottled, not very picky.
Ship some water, Curseway, Kevin O'Leary, you can eat a dick. All right, we'll be back for our last segment. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's the Counter Program. It's a podcast within a podcast. This is a conversational space where we can address usually unrelated topics that I want to explore at a greater depth with my guest. Expect no rhyme and very little reason. Kurt, welcome back. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you, Jared?
I'm fired up. You asked me how I was doing again. I'm so confused. Okay. When I put your name into Google, the AI overview produced the following result. Kurt London, a prominent personal injury attorney based in Utah, is known for his highly public admiration of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He frequently mentions his appreciation for The Rock on social media and legal discussion podcasts. We're getting very meta here. Is that true? Do you love The Rock?
Wait, did it actually pop up on that? Did that sound what it said?
Well, I did Kurt London plus The Rock.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Do that search and you'll see it.
That may or may not be true.
Wow, that is disturbing. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Can you show that again? What else you got here?
Oh, we got a ton. This is his head.
Dwayne Johnson is not in your basement right now, is he?
The funny thing is, so he himself is not. But we may or may not have a 4-foot granite appearing statue of Dwayne Johnson that we use as a relic or a shrine.
That's amazing.
In our legal practice. So yes, he is in our basement.
I
was going to do a full size one, but I thought it was weird if you go down to the basement, it's dark and there's like the 6.5-foot silhouette there.
My God.
With his arms out. Like that's.
All right. You have the head. You have the statue. You've got, what was that other thing you had? Was that hairspray? Hairspray?
No, this is a religious candle to light.
Oh.
For our shrine.
Okay, I got it now. Oh, you got more? Okay,
sorry,
keep it coming.
I'm going to wheel around.
No, this is great. I'll describe for the audio audience.
Our family photo here.
This is you, your wife, your 2 kids, and Dwayne. Uncle Dwayne. Uncle Rock? What do you call him?
It's a problem, really.
What is it about The Rock?
I don't know. Like, it's an epiphany because he's not that great of an actor. But you better believe any movie that man makes, I will be there to watch it. And I just can't stop. I don't know what it is.
Well, I was going to say, is he all that different from like Schwarzenegger? He's a better actor than Steven Seagal. Let's not get crazy.
Oh, for sure.
I think The Rock could crush it now for Justice.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I love it. So I will tell the people now that this is why I wanted to have you on the show, because like I thought the Rock stuff was hilarious.
It is confirmed.
When I saw you on LinkedIn. So this is great because what we're actually going to do is a trivia segment, and you should crush this. It's called The Rock Trivia.
Oh gosh, ready? I probably actually don't know as much as I should.
We'll explore studio space a little bit. I guess 6 questions for you. I'll read a question. I will give you multiple choice.
Oh no.
Which of these common igneous rocks typically has the lowest melting temperature range under dry laboratory conditions?
The question's about real rocks.
Not all of them.
Okay. Take me back to like third grade here, geology. Let's go. Let's do it. All right.
The lowest melting temperature range under laboratory conditions, is it granite, basalt, or peridotite? 2 of those rocks I've never heard of until today. You got a 1 in 3 chance. Just fire away.
I have to say peridotite because that's oddly specific for a question like this.
Good guess. It's actually granite. Granite
that seemed too obvious.
Granite melts at 1,215 degrees Celsius. Seems like it's really high. All right. You ready for the next one? We're channeling Dwayne Johnson.
Probably not anymore.
Here. What would Dwayne Johnson do in this situation? Question 2. Which rock band took out a Christmas ad in 1964 wishing a happy Christmas to starving hairdressers? What was it?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or the Who? Happy Christmas to the starving hairdressers out there. We can work this through maybe a little bit, you know? We got
maybe
the British invasion. We got like a lot of long-haired bands.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Like, who's got the most luscious locks in that group? I don't know. Maybe the Who.
Good guess. The Rolling Stones. So listen to this. The Rolling Stones mocked British hairdressers when they publicly complained that the group's signature long hair was ruining their business. Imagine if you were wandering around. Imagine if you were wandering around London in 1964, Nehru jacket on. Mick Jagger's like, "Damn, look at that guy's calves." All right, I gotta.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to wear skinny jeans back then like they all were. So
this one I think could work. Number 3, which famous actor turned down Nicolas Cage's role in the 1996 action film, The Rock, because he felt that the script was unfinished? Who had Nicolas Cage's role in The Rock? Was it Sly Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Bruce Willis? You might not believe the answer. It's wild.
oh no, I want to say A then.
Oh, close. Arnold.
Oh, I was going to go with Bruce Willis. So either way, I was going to be wrong.
Oh, all right. Hey, I think we got 3 more of these. Stay the course.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Do you like The Rock? Is that one of the action movies on your list?
I mean, it's
Sean
a solid
Connery,
choice.
Nick
Yeah.
Cage.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes. I couldn't imagine like Arnold Schwarzenegger taking on the Nick Cage role.
No.
With the accent. It's kind of crazy. I think he was like a scientist in that movie or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't feel right.
Do you have a favorite Schwarzenegger movie?
Oh, I mean, Predator's always a good one.
Predator, good choice. Let's do
Yeah.
favorite Arnold, favorite Stallone, and then favorite Rock movie. Let's do it right now. Stallone is next.
Oh, gosh.
Over the Top?
I
Cobra?
don't even know on Stallone.
Oscar?
I haven't even thought about it.
I'm just firing off Stallone movies.
I'm just neutral on that one.
How about The Rock? What's your favorite Rock movie?
You know, I really like Black Adam, and I know it got so much
Really?
shade, but I thought it was pretty solid.
Interesting. Okay, I'll have
Yeah.
to check that out. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it.
All right, I got 3 more questions for you.
Or like, you know, Fast and Furious 28 is always good too.
Is he still in the Fast
whatever-
and Furious
whatever
movies?
the-
I thought he was
No, they
beefing
got-
with Vin Diesel.
Yep.
Are they
He was
friends again?
beefing because they were going to offer him a spin-off and it was going to cut out the other actors. So that's what the beef started.
Oh, so you've been able to replace the Vin Diesel head now. It's back in the office because they're not beefing anymore. This is good. I'm so glad
Yeah.
everything's working out.
Yeah, exactly.
I got
Family.
3 more good ones for you. Which 2003 musical comedy film features Jack Black as a fraudulent substitute teacher who turns his students into a rock band?
Man, the fact it's really 2003. That came out that
Yeah.
long ago.
Isn't that crazy?
I feel really old now. Yeah, it's School of Rock.
School of Rock. What a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, gosh.
I
need to
feel
take
like
the
that's
rest
the
of the
movie
day
I
off to
watched
think
with
about.
my
That's
kids.
awful.
I feel like that's the movie I watched with my kids, and I'm like, oh, look at the lead guitarist. He's 54 now. All right.
Yeah.
I had a very cruel question about asteroids, but I'm going to skip that one. We're going
Probably
to
get it
for our
wrong.
last.
Yeah, I know nothing about asteroids or rocks.
we really commit to the bit here at the show. So you got to give us that.
All in.
Last question. In the original The Flintstones universe, not sure if you're a Flintstones guy. I watched the Flintstones when I was a kid. What bizarre alien-like creature has the power to manifest anything Fred desires, but only if Fred snaps his fingers and says the magic words, Gazoo, Skidoo? Is it the Great Gazoo, the Superb Skidoo, or Orko? Great Gazoo, Superb Skidoo, or Orko? Who is the little alien guy in the Flintstones?
I think this is before my time. I don't even remember watching Flintstones.
It was like the 50s, if we're being honest. It was before my time as well.
Okay. Wait,
don't feel bad.
Do you know this answer before you looked it up?
I did. Yes, I did.
Oh,
I watched a lot of TV as a kid. My parents didn't love me.
Oh, that got depressing real quick. But
we took a dark turn again at the end of the interview for the second time in a row.
Exactly. Another silent tear comes down. I'm going to say A. I'm just going to guess and say A.
Yes. The Great Gazoo. Look him up online.
Got
He's
one right.
green.
Got one right.
No, you got two right. You get School of Rock. Okay,
well,
so
if it wasn't obvious that I was typing it in Google to look up the answer, I would have done that.
Were you? Oh. Well, I appreciate the fact that no one does on the show. Everybody plays it straight. Yeah. So, all in, I misled you. We thought we were going down Dwayne Johnson trivia, but we just did rock trivia. And you get 2 out of 5, which is 400. You hit 400 as a professional baseball player in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you. You are also a Hall of Fame guest on Legal Late Night. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to our guest today, Kurt London, who is the managing partner of London Harker Injury Law. To learn more about Kurt and London Harker, visit londonharker.com. That's LONDONHARKER.com. londonharker.com. It's what The Rock would want you to do. Now, because I'll always be a 90s kid who was always up for a DuckTales marathon, but whose true passion is burning CDs for anyone who would listen, I'm now just doing the modern version of that, which is creating Spotify playlists for every podcast episode that I record, where the songs are tangentially related to an episode topic. For this week's playlist, I put together a collection of songs from Boston rock bands. It's brought to you by Dunkin'. Get your vanilla nut taps right here. Well, Dunkin' didn't actually sponsor us. Sad story. The least they could do is send me over one of those sweet tracksuits. Join us next time, when I'll probably be wearing a Dunkin' Donuts tracksuit. And probably not.